The rain was hitting the windows of Bradford Cole's corner office when he slid my promotion application across his mahogany desk like it was something contaminated. 8 years of 60-hour weeks, missed family dinners and weekend shifts, reduced to a 15-page portfolio he'd barely glanced at before dismissing. "I appreciate your dedication, Preston," Bradford said as he straightened the Harvard MBA diploma hanging behind him. "But after careful consideration, I don't believe you're ready for senior management. Perhaps we can revisit this in another year or two, once you've developed more modern leadership perspectives." Modern perspectives? The guy was 34 and had been here 18 months. I'd been running operations at Titan Manufacturing since before he even graduated college. I kept my face neutral, the way they taught us in the Navy. 20 years of service trains you to control your reactions, especially when some fresh-faced officer thinks he knows more than the guy who's actually done the work. "I understand. Thank you for the feedback," I said calmly. "Glad we're on the same page," Bradford replied, already checking his phone. "The Patterson contract needs your attention today. The colonel's been asking for updated specs on the hydraulic systems." I gathered my papers and walked out of that office knowing something had fundamentally changed. Not in him, in me. My name is Preston Hayes. I'm 48 years old, and until that meeting, I was the most reliable operations manager Titan Manufacturing had ever had. Not the most visible, not the highest paid, but the guy who kept $18 million worth of defense contracts running smoothly while other people took the credit. I came to Titan 8 years ago after my Navy service ended and my world fell apart. My wife of 15 years, Linda, had just lost her battle with cancer. Connor was 9, asking why Mama wasn't coming home. I needed a stable job with good benefits and a predictable schedule so I could be there for my son. The Navy trained me as a hydraulics engineer on nuclear submarines, where attention to detail isn't just about efficiency, it's about survival. When systems fail 400 feet underwater, there's no calling for backup. You fix it right the first time, or people die. That mindset served me well in civilian manufacturing, even if the stakes weren't quite as dramatic. Titan was a disaster when I arrived. The previous operations manager had quit after a blowout with management and took every shred of institutional knowledge with him. No documentation, no procedures, not even passwords to critical systems. Contracts were in jeopardy, clients were threatening to walk, nobody knew how to fix anything. I spent my first 6 months working 14-hour days, reverse engineering every workflow and rebuilding the entire operational structure from scratch. Stayed until midnight decoding spreadsheets and reconstructing client histories. I created manuals for every process, color-coded guides, safety protocols, maintenance schedules, everything organized the Navy way. The Patterson contract became our lifeline, hydraulic systems for military transport vehicles. I built that relationship from nothing, learned every specification by heart, accommodated impossible deadlines, even flew to their Virginia facility on my own time to troubleshoot issues their engineers couldn't solve. Colonel Patterson once said, "Hayes understands military requirements, not just engineering theory." Meanwhile, Bradford's father, the CEO, barely knew the system existed. Why would he? Everything ran smoothly under my watch. Every morning I arrived at the plant at 6:30, an hour early, to walk the production floor and catch issues before they exploded into crises. A bearing starting to wear, a hydraulic line showing stress fractures, temperatures drifting off normal. Catch them early and everything keeps running. Miss them, and you're explaining to angry colonels why their equipment isn't ready. Every evening, I sent Bradford detailed reports about production status, quality metrics, and potential problems. In between, I put out fires that could have shut down entire lines. Wesley Martinez, our lead machinist, used to joke that mine was the only desk where actual problems got solved instead of just discussed. Meanwhile, Connor was getting older, asking about college, about money, about why Dad was never home for dinner. At 17, he was looking at engineering programs, probably inspired by watching me work late into the night at the kitchen table. He's a good kid, honor roll, varsity baseball, smarter than he realizes. But college is expensive, and my current salary wasn't going to cover it. That promotion would have meant a $30,000 raise and better benefits, enough to get him through school without loans. That promotion was supposed to be our future. The morning after Bradford rejected me, I sat in my truck in the Titan parking lot staring at the building where I had given 8 years of my life. The rain had stopped, but dark clouds still hung overhead like a warning. I made a decision that changed everything. I was done being invisible. The next day, I walked in at exactly 8 o'clock. Not 6:30, not 7:45, exactly 8. For the first time in 8 years, I went straight to my desk. No floor inspection, no hydraulic pressure checks, no early troubleshooting that kept everything running smoothly. I answered only the emails addressed directly to me and ignored the rest. When the hydraulic press on line 2 started making that grinding noise, the one that meant the bearings were failing, I didn't grab my tools. Instead, I filled out a maintenance request and sent it to the proper department. Chain of command, procedures, just like the Navy taught me. By 10:30, Wesley showed up at my desk. "Hey, Preston, the line 2 press is acting up again. You gonna take a look?" I didn't turn away from my screen, where I was updating safety compliance documents, my actual assigned responsibility. "I filed a maintenance request," I said evenly. Wesley waited, confused. We'd rebuilt that press together 3 years ago, using my custom modifications. He'd never seen me ignore a problem like that. "But you always handle the hydraulic stuff," he freaked out. "Everything okay, man?" "Everything's fine. I've been advised to focus on my assigned responsibilities," I replied with a small smile. His eyebrows shot up. He walked away slowly, glancing back like he expected me to follow. The maintenance request sat untouched all morning. Jerry from maintenance finally arrived around 2 p.m. One look at the press and he came straight to my desk. "Preston, this bearing assembly is way beyond my skill level. Can you walk me through it?" "I'd be happy to, but I have the quarterly safety compliance review due to the Department of Defense by end of day. You might try the technical manual." "What technical manual?" I pulled it up, the 47-page guide I wrote after we rebuilt the unit. He stared at it like it was written in ancient Greek. "Can you just show me real quick, 5 minutes?" he asked. "I understand the urgency, but I can't miss the DoD deadline. The manual has everything, photos, troubleshooting steps. You'll be fine." The press stayed broken the rest of the day. At 5 p.m., I packed up and left. No overtime, no staying late to fix tomorrow's problems today. On the drive home, I called my sister Janet to cancel the spring break trip we had planned for Connor. "Something wrong?" she asked. "You've been looking forward to that cabin for months." "Just might need the vacation time for something else. Work situation's changing." That evening, I walked through the door at 5:45, the earliest I'd been home on a weekday in years. Connor was at the kitchen table working on his college essays. He looked up, surprised. "Dad? Everything okay at work?" I paused, considering how to explain corporate politics to a 17-year-old already stressed about college applications and scholarship deadlines. Then I decided my time was more valuable than I'd been treating it. Connor grinned, the first real smile I'd seen from him in weeks. Between baseball practice, senior year pressure, and watching his old man work himself to exhaustion, the kid had been carrying too much weight. "Does this mean you might actually make it to my game Friday?" he asked. "Wouldn't miss it," I promised. "What position are you playing this week?" "Coach moved me to shortstop, says my reflexes are getting better." We talked baseball for 20 minutes, the longest conversation we'd had in months. When my work phone buzzed around 7 p.m., I turned it off and kept listening to Connor talk about his team's chances for the district championship. "Mom would have been proud," Connor said quietly, gathering his homework. "You being here, I mean. Linda always said the best gift you could give your kids was your attention." It had taken me 8 years to remember that lesson. By morning, cracks were showing at Titan. I arrived precisely at 8 a.m. and found the plant in subtle chaos. 3 people clustered around the broken press, and Bradford was visible through his window, gesturing frantically during what appeared to be a heated phone call. The Patterson contract team had sent urgent changes to their hydraulic specifications overnight, modifications that required understanding not just what to change, but why the original design worked the way it did. Bradford tried to lead the response meeting at 7 a.m., but quickly found himself drowning without my usual prep work and technical briefings. "Where are the technical specifications for the Patterson modifications?" he demanded, appearing at my workstation around 11 a.m. His usually polished appearance was slightly frayed, tie loosened, hair disheveled from running his hands through it. "They're in the shared drive," I replied, pleasantly, "under Defense Contracts, subsection Patterson Industries. I mentioned it in last month's department meeting. There are hundreds of files in there."